They say the truth sets you free. But what if the truth shatters everything you thought you knew about your life? My name is Marcus. I'm 32 years old, and 3 months ago, as I held my mother's hand in that cold hospital room, she told me something that destroyed my entire world. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the beeping machines. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago." I squeezed her hand. "Mom, save your strength. We can talk later." No. Her grip tightened with surprising force. "There won't be a later. Listen to me carefully." The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Outside, rain hammered against the window. My mother wasn't perfect. She made a choice that some would call kidnapping, that some would call wrong. But she also gave me something priceless, a childhood filled with love, not luxury. Values, not valuables. And my father, he made terrible mistakes. He was controlling, arrogant, and blind to what really mattered. But when given the chance to do better, he took it. He admitted his failures. He changed. That's the thing about life. It's messy, complicated. There are no perfect heroes or complete villains. Just people trying to do their best with the information and emotional tools they have. I inherited $2.4 billion, but the real inheritance wasn't the money. It was the lesson. My mother taught me that love sometimes means sacrifice, that protecting the people you care about matters more than comfort or convenience. My father taught me that it's never too late to change, that admitting you were wrong takes more strength than pretending you were right and together. They taught me that wealth without purpose is meaningless, that power without compassion is hollow, that real family is built through actions, not just blood. The Catherine Wells Foundation continues to grow. We've helped over 10,000 families now. We've sent hundreds of kids to college who never thought they'd have that chance. We've given single parents the support my mother never had. And every time, sign off on a scholarship or approve funding for a family in need, I think about that hospital room, about my mother's last words, about the secret she carried for 32 years. She told me I had a choice. She was right. But the choice wasn't just about claiming my inheritance or finding my father. The choice was about who I wanted to become. I could have been bitter, angry at my mother for lying, resentful of my father for driving her away, consumed by the injustice of it all. Instead, I chose to honor both of them. The best parts of them, my mother's compassion, my father's determination. I chose to build something that mattered, because at the end of the day, we all leave something behind. The question is, what will it be? Will it be wealth hoarded in bank accounts, status symbols and empty achievements? Or will it be lives changed, people helped, a world made slightly better because you were in it? My mother left me with love and truth, even when it was painful. My father left me with resources and a second chance at connection, and I'm leaving a legacy that honors them both. So if you're out there, carrying secrets, nursing old wounds, wondering if it's too late to make things right, let me tell you something, it's not. It's never too late to choose differently, to forgive, not to change, to build something beautiful from the broken pieces of your past. My name is Marcus Richard Ashford, the son of a woman who kidnapped me to save me. I'm the son of a man who lost me and spent 30 years searching, and I'm the founder of a foundation that's changing thousands of lives. Not because I'm special, but because I chose to take the pain, the betrayal, the complicated mess of my story and turn it into something. GOODTHATs, the real inheritance, not money purpose, and you have that choice too. Every single day, you wake up and decide, what kind of legacy am I building? What kind of person am I becoming? What am I doing with the resources, time, and opportunities I've been given? My mother's last words changed my life. But it was what I did with those words that mattered. She gave me truth. I gave it meaning, and that's something no amount of money can buy. I didn't go to Richard Ashford right away. How could I? What was I supposed to do, walk into a billionaire's office and say, "Hi, I'm the son you lost 32 years ago. Instead, I went home to the small apartment my mother and I had shared. It felt emptier than ever. Her coffee mug was still on the counter, her reading glasses on the side table. Everything frozen in time. I found the lockbox in her closet exactly where she said it would be. My hand shook as I opened it. Inside was my life. Or rather, the life I never knew. There was a birth certificate with the name Marcus Richard Ashford. My father's name listed clearly. My mother's maiden name, Catherine Wells, not Catherine Morris. The name I'd known my entire life. There were hospital records, footprints, a tiny hospital bracelet, and there were letters, dozens of them. Written over the years but never sent. I opened one dated from my 10th birthday. Dear Richard, Marcus turned 10 today. He's smart, kind, and so full of life. Sometimes I see you in his eyes and it breaks my heart. I wonder if I did the right thing. I wonder if you still think about us. But then I remember why I left, and I know I had to protect him. I hope someday he'll understand. I hope someday you will too. I sat on the floor and read letter after letter. Each one a window into my mother's guilt, her fear, her love. She questioned herself constantly, but she never regretted keeping me from him. At the bottom of the box was a sealed envelope marked open if something happens to me. Inside was a letter addressed to me. Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've learned the truth. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you myself. I'm sorry for the life I took from you, but I'm not sorry for the life I gave you. You have a choice now. You can go to Richard Ashford and claim your birthright. The DNA results are enclosed. He can't deny you. But know this. Money and power come with a price. That world is not kind. It's not real. If you go to him, be careful. Don't lose yourself in his empire. You are my son. You are good. Don't let that world change you. I love you always. Mom, the DNA results were there. Professional and official. Dated from my birth. Undeniable proof. I spent 3 days alone in that apartment. I didn't answer calls. I didn't go to work. I just sat with the truth. And then I made a decision. I was going to find Richard Ashford. Not for money. Not for revenge. But for answers. I needed to know why. Why he was so controlling that my mother felt she had to run. Why he never stopped looking. Why he eventually gave up. I needed to look him in the eye and understand who my father really was. I hired a private investigator, a small firm that handled discrete cases. I gave them everything I had and asked them to verify it all before I made contact. 2 weeks later, they called me. Mr. Morris, the investigator said, everything checks out. Your mother's story is accurate. Richard Ashford did file a missing child case 32 years ago. It was national news for about 6 months, then it went cold. The case is still technically open, but inactive. What about him? What's he like now? Powerful, ruthless in business. But publicly, he's respectable, charitable. He remarried 15 years ago, has 2 children with his current wife's son, age 14, and a daughter, age 11. My half-siblings. There's something else, the investigator continued. 3 months ago, just before your mother passed, there was unusual activity. Someone accessed the old case file. Someone high up in Ashford's company. My heart raced. What does that mean? It means someone was looking for you. Whether it was Ashford himself or someone working for him, I can't say. But the timing is interesting. I thanked him and hung up. Someone was looking for me. Right before my mother died. Coincidence? Or something more? I decided it was time to make my move. But I needed to be smart. I couldn't just walk in blindly, so I did something unexpected. I applied for a job at Ashford Industries, not as Marcus Ashford, as the long-lost son, but as Marcus Morris, a consultant with expertise in corporate restructuring. I had the credentials. I'd spent 10 years working my way up in business operations at smaller firms. I knew I could get in, and I did. 3 weeks later, I got the call. I was hired as a junior consultant on a 6-month contract. I'd be working directly with the executive team. I'd be working with my father, He had no idea who I was, but I was about to enter his world. And what I discovered there would change everything. My first day at Ashford Industries was surreal. The building was a gleaming tower of glass and steel in the heart of the city. Everything about it screamed power and wealth. The lobby had marble floors, modern art, security that rivaled the airport. I checked in, got my badge, and took the elevator to the 42nd floor. Marcus Morris. A sharp woman in her 30s greeted me. "I'm Jennifer, executive assistant to Mr. Ashford. Welcome to the team." "Thank you," I said. Keeping my voice steady, "You'll be working on Project Tightna, restructuring initiative for our retail division. Mr. Ashford is very hands-on with this one, so you'll have direct access to him." Direct access. To my father, she led me through a maze of offices and conference rooms until we reached a corner office with floor-toozling windows overlooking the city, and there he was, Richard Ashford. He was in his late 50s, tall, with silver hair and sharp blue eyes, the same eyes I saw in the mirror every morning. He was on the phone, gesturing as he spoke, commanding the room even from behind a desk. Jennifer knocked lightly and he waved us in. "I'll call you back," he said into the phone, then hung up. He stood and extended his hand. "Marcus Morris, I've heard good things about your work." I shook his hand. My father's hand. "Thank you, Mr. Ashford. I'm excited to contribute." "Call me Richard," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We don't stand on formality here." Well, not too much. He was charismatic, confident, the kind of man who owned every room he entered. We talked briefly about the project, and then I was shown to my office, a small workspace on the same floor. For the first 2 weeks, I kept my head down. I observed. I listened. I learned, and what I learned disturbed me. Richard Ashford was brilliant, no doubt. But he was also everything my mother said he was. Controlling, calculating. He treated people like chess pieces. I watched him manipulate executives, charm investors, and destroy competitors without blinking. But there was something else. Something I didn't expect. He was lonely. I saw it in the quiet moments. When the office emptied, and he stood by the window, staring out at the city. When he looked at photos on his desk, photos of his current family, but also an older photo, faded and worn, tucked in the back corner. One night I stayed late, and so did he. We ended up in the break room at the same time. "Burning the midnight oil?" he asked, pouring himself coffee. "Just trying to get ahead," I said. He nodded. "That's good. Ambition is everything in this world." We stood in silence for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" I said, taking a risk. "Sure. Do you ever regret anything?" "In business, I mean." He looked at me, studying my face. "Regret is a luxury. In business, you make decisions and you move forward. Second-guessing yourself is how you lose." "What about in life?" His expression shifted. For just a second, I saw pain flicker across his face. "That's a different story," he said quietly. Then he smiled, snapping back to his usual self. "But that's not what you're here for. Focus on the work, Marcus. Everything else is a distraction." He left and I stood there, realizing something important. He did regret something. Someone, me, over the next few weeks. I started finding small clues. A file left open on his computer when I passed by. A conversation with his lawyer that I overheard in the hallway. He was looking for me. Still, he'd never stopped. The investigator was right. Someone had accessed the old case file. It was Richard himself. He'd hired a new team of investigators to reopen the search, which meant he had no idea I was standing right in front of him. And then, one day, everything exploded. I was called into a meeting with Richard and his lawyer, a cold, sharp man named Douglas Mercer. "Marcus, have a seat," Richard said. I sat. My stomach twinged. Douglas slid a folder across the table. "We need to discuss something sensitive." I opened it. Inside were documents about a pending inheritance issue. Richard's father, my grandfather, had passed away 5 years ago and left behind a complicated will.
"Oh, my father," Richard said.
Left a clause in his will. A significant portion of his estate was set aside for his grandchildren. All of them. Legitimate or not. My heart pounded. "We've been searching for a missing heir," Douglas continued. "Richard's first child, a son who disappeared 32 years ago." Richard's jaw tightened. "If we don't locate him by the end of this quarter, that portion of the estate, $2.4 billion, will be donated to charity, per the will's instructions." I kept my face neutral. "That's a lot of money." "It is," Richard said. "And it belongs to my son, if he's still out there." He looked directly at me, and for a moment I thought he knew. But then he looked away. "We're running out of time," he said. "And I'm running out of hope." I left that meeting shaking. The money wasn't even the point anymore. It was the realization that he'd never stopped searching. He'd never stopped hoping. But he'd also never admitted why my mother ran. Never acknowledged what he'd done. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to just reveal myself. I was going to make him face the truth first. I spent the next 3 weeks carefully constructing my plan. I wasn't interested in just walking in and claiming the money. Anyone could do that. No, I wanted Richard Ashford to confront the man he'd been. The man who drove my mother away. The man who never took responsibility. I wanted him to see the consequences of his actions, so I started planting seeds. I began asking questions in meetings. Subtle ones. About leadership. About family. About what it means to be a father. "Richard," I said one day during a strategy session, "what do you think makes a good leader? Is it power, or is it accountability?" He looked at me intrigued. "That's a philosophical question for a Tuesday morning." "I'm curious. You've built an empire, but at what cost?" The room went silent. No one questioned Richard Ashford like that. He smiled, but it was thin. "Everything has a cost, Marcus. The key is deciding what you're willing to pay. And what if you've already paid too much?" His smile faded. "Then you live with it." I pushed harder over the following days. I started leaving articles on his desk. Stories about estranged families, about children who grew up without fathers, about the importance of admitting mistakes, Jennifer noticed. "Marcus, are you okay? You seem ... distracted." "I'm fine," I lied, but Richard noticed too. One evening, he called me into his office. "Close the door," he said. I did. "What's going on with you?" He asked. "You've been different lately. Distant. Asking strange questions." "I'm just trying to understand you," I said honestly. "Why?" "Because I think you're more than what people see. I think there's something you're carrying. Something heavy." His eyes narrowed. "You don't know anything about me." "Maybe not. But I know loss. I know what it's like to grow up without answers." He stood up, walking to the window, his back to me. "I lost someone," he said quietly. "A long time ago. My son. He was just a baby." "What happened?" "His mother took him, disappeared. I searched for years. Spent millions. But I never found them." "Why did she run?" He turned to face me, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. "Vulnerability, 'cause I was a fool," he said. "I was young, arrogant. I thought I could control everything, including her. I didn't listen. I didn't compromise. And when she said she was leaving, I threatened to take our son away. I thought I was protecting my rights, but I was really just protecting my ego. Do you regret it?" Every single day. The room was silent. "If you could find him," I said carefully, "what would you say?" He looked at me for a long moment. "I'd say I'm sorry, that I was wrong, that I wish I could have been the father he deserved." My throat tightened. "And if he didn't forgive you, then I'd understand. But I'd still want him to know the truth, that I never stopped looking, that I never stopped loving him." I stood up. My hands were shaking. "Richard," I said, "I need to tell you something." He waited. "My name isn't Marcus Morris. It's Marcus Richard Ashford, and I'm your son." The color drained from his face. "What?" I pulled out the DNA results. The birth certificate. The letters from my mother. He took them with trembling hands, reading through each page. "It's not possible," he whispered. It is. My mother, Catherine, she died 3 months ago. Before she passed, she told me everything. And I came here to find you. To understand who you really were." He sank into his chair, covering his face with his hands. "Oh God," he said. "Oh God, Marcus." We sat in silence for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. I'm so sorry," he said, "for everything. For what I did to your mother. For the years you lost." "For I know," I said quietly. "I know. Can you forgive me?" I didn't answer right away, because honestly, I didn't know. "I don't know yet," I said. "But I'm here. And that's a start." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "The inheritance," he said suddenly. "You're the missing heir. You're entitled to." "I don't care about the money," I interrupted. "Nice. But it's yours. My father wanted his grandchildren to have it. Then we'll figure it out. But right now, I just need to know one thing." "What?" "Are you ready to be a father? Not the father you were. The father you should have been." He stood up and walked toward me. And for the first time in my life, my father hugged me. "Yes," he said. "I'm ready." You'd think that would be the end of the story. Father and son reunited. Inheritance claimed. Happily ever after. But life is never that simple. The next day, Richard called an emergency board meeting. He wanted to announce my existence, to make everything official, but when we walked into that boardroom, I realized something was very wrong. Sitting at the head of the table was Richard's current wife, Victoria, and next to her was Douglas Mercer, the lawyer. They did not look happy. "Richard," Victoria said coldly, "we need to talk." "Victoria, I know this is a shock, but a shock." She interrupted. "You brought a stranger into this company, and now you're claiming he's your long-lost son? Do you have any idea what this looks like?" "He's not a stranger. I have proof. DNA tests from his birth, hospital records convenient," Douglas said. "Very convenient that he shows up right before the inheritance deadline." I stepped forward. "I didn't know about the inheritance until I was already working here." "So you say," Victoria said. "But we only have your word for that." Richard slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough. Marcus is my son. This isn't up for debate." "Actually," Douglas said, sliding a folder across the table. "It is." Richard opened it, his face going pale. "What is this?" "A petition from Victoria. She's challenging the inheritance. She claims that even if Marcus is your biological son, he was raised by another family and has no legal claim to the Ashford estate." "That's ridiculous," Richard said. "Is it?" Victoria stood up. "Your father's will states the inheritance is for grandchildren raised within the family. Marcus wasn't. He was taken, hidden. He has no connection to this family beyond biology. He's my son," Richard repeated. "And my children are your children too," Victoria said. "Children you've actually raised. Children who carry the Ashford name with pride. They deserve that inheritance. Not some stranger who appeared out of nowhere." I felt my anger rising, but I stayed calm. "I never asked for the money," I said. "I came here for answers, not for wealth." "Then prove it," Victoria said. "Sign a waiver. Give up your claim to the inheritance. If you're really here for your father and not the money, it should be easy." Richard stood up. "Absolutely not. Marcus has every right." "It's okay," I said quietly. Everyone turned to look at me. "I'll sign it, Marcus." "No," Richard said. "I don't want the money. I never did. If signing a waiver proves that, fine." Douglas drew up the papers. "Wait," I said. "On one condition." Her smile faded. "What condition?" "That Richard's current children, my half-siblings, meet me first. Not as the heir, not as a threat, just as their brother. If after meeting me, they still want me to sign, I will." Victoria hesitated. "Agreed," Richard said before she could respond. That weekend, I met them. James was 14. Emma was 11. Both were polite, well-dressed, and clearly uncomfortable. We met at a neutral locational park. Richard was there, but Victoria had refused to come. "So," James said awkwardly, You're our brother? Half-brother, I corrected. And I know this is weird. Trust me, it's weird for me too. Emma looked at me curiously. Did you really not know about Dad? Not until 3 months ago. My mom or Dad's first wife. She kept it from me. Why? I hesitated. I didn't want to poison them against their father. But I also didn't want to lie, because she thought she was protecting me. And maybe she was. I don't know yet. We spent the afternoon together. I didn't try to be anything other than myself. I told them about my life. About growing up with little money, but a lot of love. About my mother's strength. About the shock of discovering the truth. And slowly, they opened up too. James talked about the pressure of being the Ashford heir. The expectations. The loneliness of living in a world where everyone wanted something from you. Emma talked about feeling invisible. About how their mother was obsessed with status. And how their father was always working. He tries, James said. But he's not really there, you know? I did know. Because that was the version of Richard Ashford my mother had run from. Can I ask you something? Emma said, sure. Are you going to take the money? I looked at her honestly. I don't know. But I'll tell you this if I do. It won't be because I need it. It'll be because my grandfather wanted me to have it. And I think I'd use it differently than you'd expect. How? I'd use it to help people. People like my mom. People who work 3 jobs just to survive. I'd create something that actually matters. James studied me. You're not like other rich people. I'm not rich. You're about to be. I laughed. Maybe. But money doesn't change who you are. It just shows you who you already were. At the end of the day, James and Emma both hugged me. We don't want you to sign the waiver, Emma said. What? You're our brother, James said. And honestly, I think you'd do more good with that money than we would. I was stunned when we returned to Richard's estate. Victoria was waiting. Well, she demanded. We want him to have it, James said firmly. What? The inheritance. He should have it. Victoria's face turned red. You don't know what you're saying. That money is yours, no, Mom, Emma said quietly. It's Grandpa's, and he wanted all his grandchildren to have it, including Marcus. Victoria looked at Richard, who was smiling for the first time in days. The children have spoken, he said. Douglas cleared his throat. Actually, there's been a new development. Everyone turned to him. I've been going through the grandfather's will more carefully. There's a clause we missed. What clause? Victoria demanded. The inheritance doesn't go to the grandchildren directly. It goes into a trust. And the trustee is the eldest grandchild. Silence. Marcus is the eldest, Douglas said, by 18 years, which means he controls how the $2.4 billion is distributed. The room exploded. Victoria screamed. Richard looked shocked. James and Emma looked at me, and I realized something. I had all the power. I could take everything. Or I could choose to share it. Or I could walk away. The choice was mine. I asked for 24 hours to think. I went back to my mother's apartment.
Ow, my hand.
Sat in the silence. $4 billion. Under my control, I could take it all. Secure my future. Never worry about money again. I could split it evenly.
Be fair.
Keep the peace, or I could do something else entirely. I thought about my mother, about the life she'd lived, the sacrifices she'd made, the people she'd helped despite having so little, and I knew what I had to do. The next day, I returned to Richard's office. Everyone was there. Richard, Victoria, Douglas, James, and Emma. I've made my decision, I said. Victoria leaned forward, her eyes sharp. I'm accepting the inheritance, I said. All of it. Victoria smiled triumphantly, but I continued, I'm not keeping it. Her smile vanished. I'm creating a foundation. The Catherine Wells Foundation. Named after my mother. It will provide scholarships, housing assistance, and support for single parents who are struggling to make ends meet. People like my mother. People who work hard but can't get ahead because the system is rigged against them. Richard's eyes filled with tears. James and Emma, I said, you'll each receive a trust fund of $50 million when you turn 25. That's generous. That's fair. But the rest, the vast majority, goes to people who actually need it. You can't do that. Victoria shouted. Can, I said. As trustee, it's my decision. Douglas nodded. He's correct. Legally, he has full discretion. Victoria turned to Richard. Are you going to let him do this? Richard looked at me. Then at his children. Then at his wife, as he said quietly. Because it's the right thing to do. And it's what my father would have wanted. Your father wanted his grandchildren to be wealthy. No, Richard said. My father wanted his grandchildren to be good. And Marcus is showing us what that looks like. Victoria stood up, furious. This is insane. I won't stand for it. Then leave, Richard said. Everyone froze. What? Victoria said. Leave. If this is about money for you, then we have nothing left to talk about. But if you're willing to stay and be part of a family that actually cares about something beyond wealth, then sit down and shut up. I'd never seen Richard like this. Strong, clear, uncompromising. Victoria stared at him, then at me, then at her children. James. Emma, she said. They both stayed seated. We're staying, Mom, James said. This is right. Victoria's face crumpled. She grabbed her purse and stormed out. After a moment of silence, Emma spoke. Is she coming back? I don't know, Richard said honestly. But if she doesn't, we'll be okay. I spent the next 3 months setting up the foundation. Richard helped. So did James and Emma. We worked together as a family to build something meaningful. The Catherine Wells Foundation launched 6 months after my mother's death. We funded scholarships for over 1,000 students in the first year alone. We built housing for single parents. We created job training programs. We changed lives. Richard changed too. He stepped back from the day-to-day operations of his company and focused on philanthropy. He wanted to make up for lost time, not just with me, but with James and Emma too. Victoria eventually came back, but things were different. She was quieter, less demanding. I think seeing her children choose values over money shook her. As for me, I kept working. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. The foundation became my life's work. Every scholarship we gave out, every family we helped, I thought of my mother. She'd given up everything to protect me, to give me a chance at a good life. And now, I was using the resources of the man she ran from to help people like her. There's a strange irony in that, but also a strange beauty. 1 year after my mother's death, we held a memorial service. Richard was there, James and Emma, even Victoria, standing quietly in the back. I stood at the front and spoke about my mother, about her strength, her sacrifice, her love. My mother made a hard choice, I said. She chose to run rather than fight. Some might say she was wrong, that she should have stayed and battled for custody. But she did what she thought was right. And because of that, I grew up knowing love. Real love, not wealth, not status. Love. I looked at Richard, who was crying openly. My father made mistakes too. He let his ego and his need for control destroy his family. But he spent the last year trying to make amends. And that takes courage. I looked at the crowd. We all make choices. Sometimes those choices hurt the people we love. But it's never too late to do better, to be better. My mother taught me that. And in a strange way, so did my father. After the service, Richard approached me. Thank you, he said, for giving me a second chance. Thank you, I replied, for finally becoming the father I needed. We stood there, 2 men connected by blood and by pain, but finally beginning to heal. They say blood is thicker than water, but I've learned that's not entirely true. Family isn't just about biology. It's about sacrifice. It's about showing up. It's about choosing to love even when it's hard. My mother wasn't perfect. She made a choice that some would call kidnapping, that some would call wrong. But she also gave me something priceless, a childhood filled with love, not luxury. Values, not valuables. She taught me that people matter more than possessions, that integrity matters more than image, that doing the right thing sometimes means making the hardest choice. And my father? He made terrible mistakes. He was controlling, arrogant, and blind to what really mattered. But when given the chance to do better, he took it. He admitted his failures. He changed. He showed me that redemption is always possible if you're willing to face the truth. That's the thing about life. It's messy, complicated. There are no perfect heroes or complete villains, just people trying to do their best with the information and emotional tools they have. I inherited $2.4 billion. But you know what? The real inheritance wasn't the money. It was the lesson. My mother taught me that love sometimes means sacrifice, that protecting the people you care about matters more than comfort or convenience, that you can survive anything if you have love and purpose. My father taught me that it's never too late to change, that admitting you were wrong takes more strength than pretending you were right, that power without accountability destroys everything it touches. And together, they taught me something even more important, that wealth without purpose is meaningless, that power without compassion is hollow, that family, real family, is built through actions, not just blood. The Catherine Wells Foundation continues to grow. We've helped over 10,000 families now. We've sent hundreds of kids to college who never thought they'd have that chance. We've given single parents the support my mother never had but desperately needed, and every single time I sign off on a scholarship or approve funding for a family in need, I think about that hospital room, about my mother's trembling hand in mine, about her last words, about the secret she carried for 32 years, the burden that must have crushed her soul every single day. She told me I had a choice. She was right, but the choice wasn't just about claiming my inheritance or finding my father or getting revenge for the years that were stolen from me. The choice was about who I wanted to become. I could have been bitter, angry at my mother for lying to me my entire life, resentful of my father for being the kind of man who drove her away, consumed by the injustice of it all, destroyed by the betrayal. Instead, I chose to honor both of them. The best parts of them? My mother's compassion, my father's determination, her heart, his strength. I chose to build something that mattered, something bigger than myself, something that would outlive me, because at the end of the day, we all leave something behind when we're gone. The question is, what will it be? Will it be wealth hoarded in bank accounts that no one remembers? Status symbols and empty achievements that fade the moment you're gone? Buildings with your name on them that people walk past without a second thought? Or will it be lives changed? People helped? A world made slightly better, slightly kinder, slightly more just because you were in it? My mother left me with love and truth, even when that truth was painful. Even when she knew it might make me hate her, my father left me with resources and a second chance at connection, with the willingness to admit he was wrong and actually change, and I'm leaving a legacy that honors them both. So if you're out there right now listening to this story, carrying secrets of your own, nursing old wounds, wondering if it's too late to make things right, let me tell you something, it's not. It's never too late to choose differently, to forgive, to change, to reach out, to admit you were wrong, to build something beautiful from the broken pieces of your past. My name is Richard Ashford. I'm the son of a woman who kidnapped me to save me from a life she believed would destroy my soul. I'm the son of a man who lost me and spent 30 years searching, never giving up hope that one day he'd find me. And I'm the founder of a foundation that's changing thousands of lives every single year, not because I'm special, not because I'm better than anyone else, but because I chose to take the pain, the betrayal, the lies, the complicated mess of my story, and turn it into something good, something meaningful, something that matters. That's the real inheritance. Not money, not power, not revenge, purpose. And you have that choice too. Every single day you wake up and decide, what kind of legacy am I building? What kind of person am I becoming? What am I doing with the resources, time, and opportunities I've been given? Are you hoarding what you have, or are you sharing it? Are you holding grudges, or are you choosing forgiveness? Are you staying stuck in the past, or are you building toward a better future? My mother's last words changed my life forever. But it was what I did with those words that actually mattered. She gave me truth. I gave it meaning, and that's something no amount of money can ever buy. 3 months after my mother told me I was kidnapped, I inherited $2.4 billion, but the greatest inheritance she gave me wasn't wealth. It was the wisdom to know what to do with it. Asterisk. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't what we receive. It's what we choose to give away.